There's no doubt that there are Super Bowl expectations in the nation's capital this year when it comes to the Washington Commanders after getting to the NFC Championship game in Jaden Daniels' rookie season. So today, we're going to be breaking down 6 variables that I think will determine just how good the Washington Commanders can be in 2025 and whether or not they can win the whole thing and hoist the Lombardi Trophy this season. Before we get into my 6 X factors for the 2025 campaign, predict it for me to kick off today's show. What will be the Commanders' record this season? They won 12 games last year, and I would argue the team is better this year. So do you think they get back to that 12-win mark, or do you think they even exceed it? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section to kick us off. So my first X factor for the 2025 season is the question: just how good is this defense going to be? Because last year, the defense, I would say, had their moments where they had good games and there were certain things that they were better at than other things. But generally speaking, this was a bad defense last year. And, you know, the big crux of this was the bad secondary led by guys like Emmanuel Forbes and Michael Davis and Benjamin St. Toast and all these different guys that just couldn't hold up on the outside. And you guys can see the numbers here. Even though the points per game allowed and the yards per game allowed, you know, they were kind of more around league average. Some other kind of main metrics there, you know, yards per play allowed, that the efficiency wasn't fantastic. The red zone percentage, they allowed a lot of touchdowns in the red area. The EPA per play was not in the top 20 either. They weren't taking the football away as much as you would have liked them to. It wasn't the worst defense in the National Football League, and given the talent on this team last year, which wasn't a whole lot, if we're being completely frank with you, I think that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. deserve a lot of credit for what they were able to get out of this defense last year. But plain and simply, these numbers came with a defective cornerback room, which I think is a lot better this year, right? Marshawn Lattimore was playing with an injury last year when he was playing for the Commanders. He had a hamstring issue, all right? He doesn't have that anymore. Hopefully he can stay healthy this year. Then Trey Amos, I do expect to be the week 1 starter. I think he'll win that job over Jonathan Jones in camp this year. He's a phenomenal rookie talent. And then Mike Samerstroh, who pretty much had to be your number 1 outside starting corner almost the entire season last year, now gets to move back to his more natural position in the nickel. So this cornerback room is so much better than it was a season ago. And if this defense can go from below average, which, let's be honest here, it was last year, to an above average defense this year, I'm not even asking for like top 5 defense or even top 10 defense. Those things would be great, but that's not necessarily what I think the Commanders need to do. Their offense, as we know, is going to be explosive. They're going to put up points. They don't necessarily need like an elite defense to win a Super Bowl this year. They just need a functional one. And I think that if they can do that, that's going to take this team to the next level. Some defensive kind of points of emphasis here that's going to allow them to accomplish that goal. First up, Marshawn Lattimore, who we briefly touched on earlier here. But the big question with him is he still a legit number 1 corner? Because when he's healthy, he's usually like one of the better shutdown, press man, physical corners in the National Football League. And let me tell you guys, this guy looked impressive during Commanders' mandatory minicamp this year when he did show up. He didn't show up to OTAs. He did show up to minicamp, and he is flying around. He looks 100% healthy. And, you know, I think Trey Amos is a really good player. I don't know if he's ready to become a true number 1 right away in year 1. And Jonathan Jones definitely isn't a number 1 guy. They're really banking on Marshawn Lattimore to take down guys like A.J. Brown, Malik Neighbors, you know, the top wide receivers in this division. Also George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. You know, that's going to be very interesting matchups there with the teams in the division. But I think Marshawn Lattimore is up for the task. I think that this team definitely believes in him. And, you know I believe in him if he's healthy and he's on the field. Then we get to another one here on the defensive side of the ball, which is who and or just maybe this is a better question, do they get another edge to add to this group? Because you got Dorrance Armstrong, you got Dietrich Wise, Cleveland Ferrell, and Jacob Martin. All those guys are functional players, but I don't know if any of those guys are pass rushing specialists and if any of them are a true number 1 edge rusher. And this has kind of been the main theme over the last several months of our coverage here, guys, is that we've been looking for possibilities for this team to add a legitimate number 1 pass rusher on the outside. And there are options out there, and I think the Commanders are taking their time because they're kicking the tires on Trey Hendrickson. If they can land the NFL's leading sack getter to their defense, I think that they're going to take every opportunity to try and do that, especially when guys like Von Miller, Zadarius Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, older but still effective veterans, are still on the free agency market. There's no reason for the Commanders to rush this, all right? They're going to see how the Hendrickson thing plays out, and if he signs a new deal with the Bengals, I almost guarantee you they're going to sign one of these guys, in free agency pretty darn quickly after that. And then, the big question is the guy that they bring in, just how good and how much better does that make the Commanders defense heading into the 2025 season? Then the final X factor when it comes to the defense is, does a legit bandit safety emerge? Okay, because last year you had Jeremy Chin, who played kind of that hybrid linebacker / safety role when they went to their 3 safety packages, and now he's in Las Vegas, and he is a Las Vegas Raider. And, the Commanders' kind of replacement for him was Will Harris of the New Orleans Saints previously, who came here. He's more of like a Percy Butler type, though, to me, where he's going to be another kind of deep safety when you go to those 3 safety packages. So the question still remains, who's going to be that linebacker / safety, kind of a bigger pass coverage type of player that's going to be a ball hawk in the middle of the Commanders' defense? We've seen guys like Jaron Kearse play this role for the Cowboys when Dan Quinn was the DC there. We saw it with Jeremy Chin last year with the Washington Commanders. I think that what they're looking at right now is Jordan McGee, the second-year, technically linebacker out of Temple, but he's an undersized linebacker, but he's a really good coverage player. So I think his body type and his athleticism is a perfect match to play that bandit kind of safety role in the Commanders' defense, and they'd be essentially playing a 3 linebacker package instead of a 3 safety package technically, but it's kind of the same thing where you've got that linebacker safety hybrid player that you can put all over the formation, all over the middle of the field, and can go hunt interceptions and hunt the football. So I think McGee will probably get the first crack at that in training camp. He's had a really good offseason program. This team and this coaching staff really expects a lot out of him this year, and I think that he's going to fill that role nicely. So answer the question for me down there in the comments section. The Commanders will have a top blank defense in the NFL this year. Will they get up to top 15, top 10, even top 5? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section for today's pinned question. In just a second here, YouTube's going to throw you an ad break, and when they do, go down there in the comments section and let me know how good the Commanders' defense is going to be this season. Let me get to the offensive side of the ball, and Deebo Samuel is a big X factor, and I think we all acknowledge this. He didn't have the best season last year with the San Francisco 49ers, and as a receiver, he's always been kind of a gadgety type of player where he gets in the backfield. He does some running back type stuff as well, and he's been doing that over the last several seasons. But, the last 3 years as a receiver, it hasn't been nearly as productive as that 2021 campaign where he had over 1,400 yards and 6 tuds as a receiver and 77 catches. Hasn't gotten to over 1,000 yards receiving in the last few seasons. Now, he has gotten over 1,000 when it comes to when you include the rushing stats, but Deebo is certainly somebody that's going to be playing a unique role in the Washington Commanders offense this year, led by Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator, and I fully expect him to use Deebo as a true gadget player. Put him in the backfield, use him on orbit motions and jet sweeps, use him on those early down wide receiver screens that we know Cliff absolutely loves to run. He is an absolute locomotive in open space. He's super tough to bring down. He's built kind of like a running back. So, I don't think anyone's expecting Deebo to be like a legit number 1 alpha type receiver, but I think he's a perfect fit inside Cliff Kingsbury's offense. And if he can provide another element to this offense here, along with Jaden Daniels and his playmaking prowess, Terry McLaurin is a legit number 1 alpha type wide receiver. Adding another element to that is going to make this offense even more dangerous. So let me know down there in the comments section, what is your confidence level in Deebo Samuel heading into the year? Put it on a scale of 1, meaning he's going to suck this year. He's going to be benched. He's terrible. This is the last year he's going to be in the NFL. To 10, meaning he's going to be unbelievable, Pro Bowl caliber player. I can't wait to watch him play. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. And then the final X factor for me is, can someone step up at wide receiver 3? And, I think it's pretty cut and dry who their number one guy is. That's Terry McLaurin. He's their number one alpha-type receiver on the outside. Then Deebo Samuel will be their technical number two receiver, but, they're going to move him all around the formation, all right? So they're going to need some contributions from guys like Noah Brown, like Luke McCaffrey, like Jalen Lane, like maybe even Michael Gallup, where you're going to have some guys that can play on the outside and on the inside, depending on where you're putting Deebo Samuel in the offensive formation. And Noah Brown is dealing with an injury right now. He got carted off the field at mandatory minicamp. At the time of me recording this video, we still don't have an answer as to what his injury is. So we'll see what it looks like with him. I really do like Noah Brown's skill set, though. Good run blocker, big body, big play threat. That's a good route runner and with solid hands as well. So I like Noah Brown. He played pretty well with this team last year in the limited time he played for this offense. But then other guys like Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane certainly have some upside as well. So if they can find a legit number three receiver, we talked about Deebo adding another element to this offense. If they find another legitimate receiver alongside Terry and Deebo this offseason, this offense is just going to go to the next level with Jaden Daniels throwing him the football. So here is a little bit of a recap here of our X factors. How good is the defense? Marshawn Lattimore, is he still a number one corner? Are they going to add another edge? And if so, who do they bring in? Also, do they find a legit bandit safety? Does Jordan McGee answer the call? Also, how valuable is Deebo going to be to this offense? And can they find a legit number three receiver? I don't think that Jaden Daniels is an X factor because I think I already know how he's going to play. He's going to play great. So if you can get these six things, guys, watch out, because I think the Washington Commanders will be legit Super Bowl, not only contenders, but favorites heading into the postseason this year, and will be one of the more complete teams in the National Football League as we get towards the postseason. And like I said, guys, I think that there is a reason to believe here that this team could absolutely be a Super Bowl contender this year. And like we look at all the things, is it reasonable to think this defense could be better this year? Absolutely. The secondary is so much better, and they could still add another edge rusher. Is it reasonable to think that Deebo Samuel could be a success in this offense? Absolutely. He's been doing all the different stuff Cliff wants him to do for years in San Francisco. Is it possible that Noah Brown, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane step up in secondary roles at the wide receiver position? 100%. So I think everything that we talked about today is 100% within the reach of the Washington Commanders. And if they can reach that and they can kind of hit on these question marks, I think this team is going to be damn dangerous. And I think that they're going to give themselves a really good chance of hoisting the Lombardi Trophy come February. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're going to be covering every single second of the Washington Commanders 2025 campaign right here for free on the Commanders Report. So click that subscribe button for daily coverage.